welcome May 17, EDIP 695. And this is our fourth recording, I believe. And hopefully not the last presentations, but we have amazing list of presentations left to present tonight. So thank you, Jacqueline. Take it over. The floor is yours.
Okay, I am going to share my screen and I am going to show you my ePortfolio. Let me see. All right, are we good? Can you see my Weebly? Okay, so this is my home page. I just wanted to give you guys a little idea of a nice introduction, and then I go into my About Me, which is always important to share because you want to get to know who you're learning about. This is me, one of my students. This is a little about me personally, where I teach, what I do, and then down here is my teaching philosophy. As you can see, I like to differentiate. I am a special education teacher, so I like to differentiate, which I love technology for because it's such a great way to reach all needs of all students very quickly and easily. So this is all about me, my teaching philosophy. And then over here, you'll start to see the standards. And if you roll over to a standard 1, you will see all of the standards with an artifact and a rationale. I like this website because it laid everything out nice and easily and clear cut to see. So if you roll over the word artifact, you will then click it to see what the artifact is. So this first artifact is actually an artifact from bubble.us. So if you click the article, it shows you as it loads. I have bad internet. What my artifact is, which I like that because it easily can be used. Oh, I have to sign in, but I'll show you a different one. Let's see. This one is a case study, so you can even upload documents. So here are some documents that I have created. And here is a PowerPoint that I created for a case study. And as you can see, the person can easily see what I'm doing. This was actually about the program MobyMax. It's a great K-5 program that is skill enrichment, which is great for students with diverse needs. All right. And then if you go over to standard 2, there are all of my standards and artifact. I like standard 2 the most. It had the most. I like this one because it really challenged me as a coach. All these standards are coaching. So it really challenged me to see how have I helped other teachers and how am I coaching them to work through their technology and their skills. Standard 3, you'll see the same layout. You roll over. Now this is using technology in the classroom and modeling and maintaining, which also challenged me to reflect because I have to see as a coach, am I helping teachers to maintain the technology that I coach them to implement? Standard 4. This is all about, conducting the assessments, implementing and checking if what you're implementing is actually being successful, because we can implement technology, but it's important that we evaluate the success, and I teach the other teachers that it's important to evaluate the success. Standard 5. Does anyone have any questions? I talk very fast, I know. Okay, so this one is promoting access to everyone. I really liked this one, this artifact, to remind everyone that technology is called a male territory sometimes, and it's important that we promote our girls in society to be using technology and to be using coding and to be using their hands to build, because often it's the boys who go towards technology, and we really need to encourage our girls. Also, this is important, the AUP, from one of my classes, I had to create an acceptable use policy for students to use, which was actually a great assignment because I can use this wherever I go now. I have an acceptable use policy that I can implement as a teacher and share with other teachers if they would like to use it in their classroom. Because a lot of teachers, they don't realize they have an AUP in their district. All right. And last is standard 6, which is all about professional development, which is very important that we train our teachers and know that they have support, and that if they would like more professional development, it's out there for technology to keep learning and growing. Do we have, you have any questions? Do you have any, you're all good?
I just get your link up here, so because we couldn't see what you were showing.
Oh, you couldn't?
Yeah, I realized it could be because it was maybe showing in another screen in your, maybe you have 2 desktops.
No, I only have one. I'm on a laptop.
I don't know why, because it only shows your website. But now I type your website address here for everyone to look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's important for the recording purposes, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's amazing to put together this wonderful sets of projects and portfolios. And one thing that I was telling earlier to people, how in our portfolios we end up, I keep going to, oh, it's because in the down, okay. I was only seeing the top part of your portfolio.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to get back. You can only see the top, or you can see the whole thing?
No, I see the whole thing now. It was, I just needed to scroll down.
Oh.
Oh, now I understand. Okay. Now I am fluent in your portfolio.
Okay, great.
And one of the things I was telling people, and which you did it, actually, this is a good example. When they put their portfolio, they put a portfolio next to it, it's Bubbleless. It's the name of the artifact. You kind of put an artifact, but it would be better instead of making Bubbleless, maybe we'll call it concept mapping.
Okay.
So that it's, because if Bubbleless, let's say, don't make money and they close their website, and what do you mean? Nobody knows what you're talking about. But if you say concept mapping and show a screen capture, we will always remember.
Okay.
Our resources. So I was just making a comment earlier when the students were focusing only on the software to do their artifact or to do their professional development. Like, I'm going to do a professional development on Kahoot as opposed to let's explore assessment tools and resources. All right. And one student actually, excuse me, said that it is in fact happened in her experience. One software that she created all the good goodies and later on closed up. So it may happen. We need to have our multiple presentation tools and multiple ways of seeing things. Thank you so much. All right. Rosabelle, do you have any other feedback, suggestions, questions for Jacqueline?
Okay. I'm having a little trouble hearing you. On my end, your sound is very low.
And I have it all the way up. I'm having trouble hearing Professor too.
Yeah, it's just the professor, because I can hear you perfectly. I actually have to lower it when you talk.
Okay, good.
I can hear you really well. I just can't hear the professor that well.
Okay.
Sorry, Rosabelle. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Oh, sorry about that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Sorry about my artifacts. I'm reading your comments now. I guess I'm not used to this 2-screen thing like on the laptop. So I'm a newbie. Sorry.
Actually, in my office, I have 3 computers.
Oh goodness.
2 screens, and I sometimes get lost in my own cyberspace. So yeah, I know.
You know what's really cool? They have an extra wide screen that automatically opens up as 2 separate screens.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yes,
it has it really cheap.
I think yesterday I was at the Mac Lab, and yeah, because it was a big screen, and you can put all these screens in the same place. It was very cool. But again, you don't just complain about what you don't have, you use what you have to make things work.
Yeah.
And when my first job, they wanted to close the Mac lab or PC lab. I forgot one or the other. And their strategy was like, nobody uses Macs in the higher education or something like that. And then I said, but you're wrong, because our students will need to be trained in dual platforms. They shouldn't be just understanding one platform, because they go to K-12 schools and they may have a whole different experience. But again, school was looking at from a higher education point of view, as opposed to we serve students who are actually in K-12 education. Now the Chromebooks are out. We're not going to say, oh, I can't use Chrome, I never got trained. You just open the thing, push the buttons, and you say, oh, that's how it works. Oh, that's how it was when it was in PC world. So I guess that's part of the coaching skill, in my opinion, that you repurpose for learning and you take the tools that you had before. For instance, digital storytelling, how much it changed over the years. But at the same time, still the same. It's still a timeline, but maybe they added new transitions, new tools, new fancy buttons. But the idea of putting a storyboard and putting sound and music and different types of transitions to add meaning is the same. Oh, tonight I share with people a website called geoguesser.com. So if you want an extra point, if you have an extra time, it's a very addicting game. It takes you to anywhere in the world, and you're supposed to guess where on the map that place is. You can actually scroll through the area. Sometimes there are cars in the area that you can guess. Sometimes you see signs. They blur the signs. They don't want you to just easily guess. But if you see something in Japanese, then you say, oh, maybe it's in Japan. So it's a very...
I have one around the corner from my house.
Oh.
Yeah, there's one by us. I live in upstate New York, so it's a lot of hiking area. So they're usually all around where I live.
And also, I hope you guys consider coming to my geocaching event in Bear Mountain. And I thought this will couple with our Global Kitchen project, where we learn to eat from global kitchens. I don't know if I can get anything catered there. I have no idea right now. I just want to know if anyone could join. Then Middletown Teacher Center person, Lori, invited me to go to her center to host alumni gathering. So we'll see what we're going to do this summer to catch up with you guys. But upstate New York, maybe you need to come a little bit south to see us, right?
Yes.
Did you put yourself on the community mapping?
It's already there. The one for geocaching?
Yeah, you did.
They're already there.
Okay, so you're the high top one. All right. Thank you. All right. That's that takes us to Rosabelle. I think she's getting herself ready to go.
Oh no, girl, I'm already ready.
Oh, that's wonderful. Earlier, some people like, can I just wait until my time show up? I'm kind of worried. So, that you're born ready.
Yeah.
Born ready. Just got to get over with.
I have to admit, I already gave your 5 points before because Rosabelle came to present.
He said, yeah.
Person. So, I guess she's going to be like, okay, when you get an A, sometimes people get it with 95. Sometimes they get it with all these extra points with 105. So after 95, sorry, I have no other grades to get.
That's it.
So thank you for your passion and thank you for sharing your time and energy with us on the Speed Tech. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ever since I went to the very first one, I liked it. So I figured, why not go back? The second one I couldn't attend because I was pregnant. But this time, kids are already out, so we can go ahead and actually do it. Okay, so let me share my screen now. Okay, so it looks like Weebly is like the go-to, okay? So my portfolio, I do have a welcome page because I do like to introduce what the purpose of the page is and what you're gonna be expecting on the page. So let's just skip that and go to my About Me. I have a general just about me picture, what I have, a few adjectives, because you know, prospect employers always look for that. What else do I have? I have my personal development. This actually, one of my professors required that we do this. Give like your 5-year plan, because they always ask you that also too. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? So I have that there. I actually am going to update it since I'm finally done with NYIT. I also have my teaching philosophy as well. I keep it short and simple because let's be honest, after 2 paragraphs, no one's gonna read it. So it's just straight to the point. It talks about diversity. Since I'm a bilingual teacher and I actually fell in love with my linguistic studies, I'm really big on just understanding where people come from and just how what you know doesn't make you any different from what another person knows. You just express it differently. So that for me was a huge takeaway, and it really influences how I teach and see things. Okay, so I have my portfolio. I set it up exactly how everyone else did. I have it by standard 1 and 2. And let's see, hopefully it goes through. Yeah. Okay. So again, I have my artifacts and rationale. But instead of clicking through all of these, I'm going to take you to my actual professional development page. Under portfolio, what I created was a showcase. So here you can actually see some things that I have already done and what you can expect in each of these activities. So let's take a look at the first one, which is using the tool Addy, which we already have, not the tool Addy, ThinkLink. So in this activity, I use an online tool, ThinkLink, to create an interactive chart explaining the Addy model. However, this tool has endless limits since it is interactive and versatile enough to use in all subject areas. So I also have others, such as a compare and contrast chart. This one I use with Kidspiration, so it's actual software, not internet-based. And I think this is great because although it is a bit outdated, you still do find it in a few schools, especially in special needs schools that I have been in personally. They still use Kidspiration because kids don't get out and navigate outside of the internet realm. I also have another one, which is using Canva. And again, I just pretty much just give ideas of how I personally use it and how you can use it as well as a tool in your own classroom. So let's get back to, another thing too, I have my professional development videos and tutorial videos as well. Oh, it didn't go through. Sorry, I'll have to fix the link because it's not working. Let's go back to some of the standards. Let's see which one I actually want to share. I have like so many. A few of them I like. I like standard 3 the most. Okay, so let's take a look at the multicultural global project. Since I am a big bilingual speaker and I love all different cultures, we'll take a look at this one. So in this is just a hypothetical program in where we explore how to connect different cultures, right? So what I did was I went totally outside of the box. Instead of doing the ePals, what I did was I took a look at LaFora, which is you create your own little social network, right? So what I liked about it is that it's not social network like Facebook or anything like that. It's just a forum that you can create. So I was thinking more of along the lines of inviting people into our space so that students themselves can navigate through it. So think of it as like a ed blog or something. I think that's the one that's called education blog. That's geared for the lower grades. Okay, let's go back here. So in here, what I have is like guidelines that you will follow, like certain questions, prompts that kids will, to get you kind of like to break the ice and sort of see that because you're from another country doesn't mean that we don't share the same hobbies and interests, right? Because that's usually what kids like to talk about. So I have questions like, what are your hobbies? What do you do after school? Do you have any pets? What's your school like? Your birthday, favorite subject, things like that. I also have that kids will be using Smore and ThinkLink to create a poster to kind of like put on the fora, right, once it's already set up. to kind of like show everybody like, hey, this is New York and we have this and this and that and blah, blah, blah. This is my school, right? What else do I have? I also did take a look at a program called iEarn. So this program sort of meets, I guess you can say it sort of works the same way, but not really. But I did give you just a quick project rundown because my professor wanted to know how would we hypothetically create all this connection. And I was just thinking in my own, the church my mother attends, usually they have outside guests come in, like especially during Easter break. You always have like all these other guests, priests that come in. But I know that a lot of them work with different charities around the globe. So you can always spread out the word with, okay, if you could spread it to, in this case, they're from Guatemala. So if you could spread the idea to the charity that you work with in Guatemala, give you the link and keep open communication within the priests and the other priests, we can create like a little network to connect the kids, you know, instead of using like Skype or something like that, if that seems too impersonal, because let's be honest, it's really hard to get good internet service in Guatemala also, especially if you're not in the city or in a good funded private school. It's not going to happen. It'll just be easier to just create posts. Okay, let's take a look at one more, since I know I'm on a little schedule here. Let's take a look at one more standard that I liked. We have standard 4. I went a little above and beyond. I actually implemented all of them. So I have another one, which is social media in the class. For this one, it was just a presentation. So it's sort of how to use blogs in the class, because a lot of people are using websites, which there's nothing wrong with it, but a blog is nice because you get to constantly update it, whereas a website you don't. And I know already as teachers, we don't have time for that, but you can always make it into, it's your homework to do that, you know, to constantly keep it updated as a group, rotate the groups. Also, I was thinking of this in terms of younger kids, because although I'm teaching upper grades, I personally fancy first graders. So I was thinking more of this will be a nice weekly activity to do to showcase what we're doing. Like, hey, mom and dad, I know you guys can come sometimes, but look at what we did. Take pictures and just directly post it online. Take some of what the kids are saying and put it up there as well. You can have them do text to speech, because let's be honest, we'll be there for like half an hour getting one sentence typed, you know? So I was thinking something like that. This was actually presented as a PD. So I have basic introduction, what is it, why social media, why blogging, how do I start? Because there's always like, where do I start? What are the good sites to use, right? So I have what blogs you can use, do's and don'ts, tips for class blogging. So ideas, okay, I want to do a blog, now what? What can I do with it, right? I also have quick little tutorials, not that I made, but just of, in case you're curious. So I gave like the more top 3 choices. And they're quick videos. I think they're all about 5 minutes long anyways. Let's see what's the other one, because this is pretty long. So after you already made your decision, now what do I do, right? I have activity and suggestions, because let's be honest, some people might not want to read through everything, right? So I just have the top 5. This will just kind of like grab your attention and pull you in and make you want to read it later. I also have some examples, because everybody wants to see examples. I'll even show them to you. This person I like because a lot of people seem to know her. I personally didn't hear of her, but a lot of people do know her. She even has like her own YouTube channel. And it's so cute because she has like little ones. And this is where I got all my ideas of how to use it, even with younger students. So she has it by archives. She has little videos that she has them doing. It's just cute, you know. It makes you feel like you're part of Miss Yola's classroom. Let's go back here. I also have the point, because everybody always wants to be straight to the point, right? How can I use it? What am I going to get out of it? Let's see, because I know my time is almost up. Let's see what I have for standard 5. Oh, these are super important, but I'm not going to go into those. The one thing I did want to point out, though, is that I do have, like I showed you the showcase, I do have another blog that I created. This one deals with a lot more bilingual issues. I'm not going to bore you with it, but I'll just show it to you really quickly. And all it is just different scenarios. So me, along with a few of my other colleagues, created scenarios of how your perception of language changes. So it's a good way just to, for me at least, to see that I'm open-minded, and flexible. What else did I do? I also have the resume. I originally did have it up, but because I do want people to actually use the sidebar, and I want them to take a look at my LinkedIn, and I also want them to check out my Google Plus and send me emails, I didn't put it up. And I do have the contact button too that is working, so you can always just leave your name, email, comment, whatever you want. So pretty much that's my portfolio. I'm going to stop sharing now. Any questions?
Very nicely
Thank
done. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I kept it under 15 minutes.
yes, that's another excellent point. Another interesting thing is that you're right. You don't want to put your resume because you want them to contact you. And why do you want to leave your resume? Because in the resume, you also have your phone number and your address, right? And email, and you don't want to give that. And putting a contact info is better. So I like that.
Yay.
That's a good idea. It's a nice interface and has good stuff in it. So, and I hope the next thing I'm going to hear is you got the interviews and you got the jobs.
Oh, well, actually, I did go on an interview, and I know they did look at it because I can't see how many views I got. As a matter of fact, during my, when I started the sleeve replacement, because I was trying to get the school website going, because they also work with Blackboard, and it's not the easiest thing to use the first time. What I did was I shared my personal website with them, because a lot of parents wanted to know, okay, what teacher do we have? Since they had different teachers every single week for 2 whole months, I decided, let me have them take a look at it. And believe it or not, a lot of them viewed it, because I would see it was spiked from like 10 to 15 to 20 views. And now I'm like, yay, I'm in like double digits now, finally. So I know they are looking at it. And I had a few of my other students being nosy, looking around, and they would tell me, oh, Ms. G, I really like your website, or your picture's nice. I'm like, instead of looking at my website, go do your homework. It's also on the site. So yeah, I know they are looking at it, because I do try to even show it to other people without them even asking.
Yep.
I mean, I don't carry around a hard copy of my portfolio.
And I like that LinkedIn, and it's going to all these social media sites. That's awesome. Maybe an idea. Maybe I should do it on my website. But I also like that website about code switching. I'm going to read that up, because when you're on the phone, you're talking to a professor, you sound different than when you talk to your parent or your friend or
yes, that's so true. That was actually one of our biggest things that we were discussing.
Yeah, and it's very interesting about what I realized about the country that I was in. Remember Azerbaijan in the fall?
Yeah.
And they even changed their personality based on what language they speak. For instance, the countries, everybody meaning the people who were born during the Russian era, they spoke Russian. They later on, or their home language was Azerbaijani. So they speak both languages. But when they speak Azerbaijani, they don't feel as sophisticated, and they don't speak like sophisticated there. It's more, that's a language of the home. That's a language of the personal connections. But when they switch it to Russian, they automatically become like a professor talk. It's very interesting. That's how I sensed it. So even among the same people, addressing the same type of people, just switching a language even changes the code.
Oh yeah, definitely. That was something I was trying to explain to my friend, because her biggest problem understanding is that Spanish is like for about, I just went over this with the kids. I believe it's 28 Spanish speaking countries, right? In all 4 places: Caribbean, South America, Central America, and Europe, right? And I was explaining to her, and I think one part in Africa too, but I was explaining to her that there's no such thing as ideally correct or incorrect Spanish, because just because there's different dialects and different variations within the dialect as well. I told her there's ideally, yes, there is one, but it's not universally agreed upon because it's the Spaniard way of speaking that doesn't reflect your culture from other countries. It was just a huge discussion for her to understand, that be proud of the way you speak. It doesn't make you less intelligent because just like you said, you change your personality. She would do that too, and she would get so nervous talking to the professor because he's a huge linguistic person with a lot of papers and books. He was even on a trial case for what reason, I don't know. But she would get so nervous talking to him, and I'm like, woman, he's a down-to-earth guy. He's Dominican just like you. He's really nice. Just talk to him normal, don't be scared. He's not judging you. But that was her thing. She thought that it was constantly being judged, and you're just not, So now she's starting to understand because she's actually a bilingual teacher, so she's starting to see all the differences in language and how there's a huge range, And the only thing I keep telling her is that the language is different, but it doesn't reflect what they understand. They just perceive it differently, But I don't want to bore you. This is a long conversation for another day.
It's exciting. I studied linguistics, so I can speak your language.
Yay!
Michael, are you getting ready? We would love to have you present
Yes.
so that you will have an audience.
I'm going to have to bow out. I have dinner cooking.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Great job, Rosabella.
Bye.
Rosabella.
Thanks. You too, Jacqueline.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Are you coming for graduation?
Yes, celebrating.
Yes. Okay. I'll see you then.
Oh, graduating. No, I won't be there. It's too far. I thought you said something else.
You know what we should do? We should have some kind of an evening, just a celebration evening.
Yeah.
We need to find a way. All right, go.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Bye. All right, Michael, take it away. It's your time to shine.
Okay, Michael, don't forget to unmute yourself.
And hit the screen button, share screen and the bottom.
There we are.
Perfect. Yay.
Okay. There we are. Share screen and Google. All right. Y'all getting anything yet? All right. So, I've used TestStream in the past. I used it for my undergrad, so I felt very comfortable keeping my portfolio within TestStream. So I used the portfolio or the folio webpage option in TestStream to make my portfolio. And I'm going to apologize in advance because my internet is not very quick. I'm way up in the sticks, so some things may take a while. So, like I said, I used the portfolio TestStream option, and there was a couple things I wanted to show you. And in order for the internet not to take too long, I pre-opened some files. So if I can just click on them, let's see if I can get rid of some stuff. One more, and another. Okay. So the first thing I wanted to show was a case study I did, and I believe this is 2H under our options, under our standards. Again, it's taking a little while to load. Yeah, so I used my case study. And so my case study I did, I worked with one teacher in particular this year. His first name was Nick. His last name is Demidio. And what I worked on with him was implementing the use of all of Google in the classroom. Now, I came from, this is my first year at the school I'm at now. I came up from Herrick's on Long Island. I was a TA there, and we had a lot of money and a lot of technology. And when I came to this job upstate, I found out we had no money and nearly no technology. And the technology we have is very old. And my position is an instructional technology and media specialist. So I immediately saw a challenge right away. So my biggest thing was to make sure our 5th grade classes were ready for moving to middle school technologically. And this was a huge challenge because the first day I had the kids on the computers, they were trying to touch the screen. They thought it was touch screen. So I knew right away it would be a problem. So I was getting to know teachers, and I met a few teachers who I thought I might be able to do some kind of case study with. And then I met Nick, and Nick was a teacher who's been in the district for a few years, and he's used to not using much technology. He's young. He's 32, and he's used to not using technology. But I thought his age and his students, I figured, all right, this guy's going to be perfect to get in there. And at first he was a little reluctant to use it just because his classes never signed into their Google accounts, which they've had since 1st grade. And he's never used Google. So I started the year off with Google Apps Professional Development, and he attended it, and he was actually very involved within it, and he was starting to mess around with it on his own, and started asking me how we can use it in the classroom. So this is when I decided to do a case study with him. And so he told me a bunch of different things he did with his class. And I knew the first thing I wanted the students to know was how to even log into their Google accounts. And that was probably the hardest thing we did, because it's a very long email account, and it's based on their lunch numbers. So our students have lunch numbers, so they go up to get their lunch and they have to remember their number. Well, it's all computer-based now, so the students don't know their lunch numbers. So I had to make sure I had every student's lunch number, and then they had to remember the email address. I'll type it out on here for you so you can see how difficult it may be for these kids. It was a number. It was 5 numbers at apps.schenectady.k12.newyork.us. So these kids were not happy to be doing this. It was very hard for them to do. So this alone took us a few weeks to get down. So at first it took them a whole 40-minute class. Then we got down to 20, then to 10, and finally to about 5 minutes where we can actually start doing work. So this is where I really started my case study with Nick. And what we did is we were looking at different assignments he was doing with the kids throughout the year, or what he's done in the past. And in the past, one of the things he did was make journals. The kids would write a journal every week. And he was telling me how he'd bring home this huge stack of notebooks every week. So I said, you don't have to keep doing that. I said, what we're going to do, now you kids know how to log into Google. I showed the kids how to use their Google Drive. I said, now we're going to show Google Docs. And so I showed him Google Docs. I showed the class Google Docs. And within about 3 weeks, Nick was praising me and thanking me because his kids no longer had to bring home his kids' notebooks. And that was the main reason he was happy. On top of that, he had kids who he'd never had assignments come in who started getting involved in the assignments and creating the assignments. So that was another thing he was very excited about, because we're in a very low socioeconomic school, and these kids have a lot of issues at home. This one teacher, he has 10 kids in his class with parents in prison. And it's just an ongoing issue with his class where these kids just come to school and don't want to do work. But this is a way the kids got involved in just the journals. So it actually come in and tell Mr. DeMidio what they did all weekend. So we saw that as a huge plus. So once we got that done, he told me he did a New York State a state project with his students every year. And what the students did is they just did a research paper. They typed out research about different states they were given. So I said to him, we can make this much easier, much better, and much less annoying for the kids, because he mentioned the kids had thought it was annoying. So we're just going to make a presentation. So what we had done is he gave me all the information and all the materials he had in the past, and he created, and we both together created a new sheet they could do on Google Docs. Once they finished their research information on Google Docs, we taught them how to use Google Slides. And these kids went off. So I used 2 class periods to teach them how to use Google Slides, and they went off. They created the most amazing things that Nick has ever seen, he was saying. And he was extremely happy with what they created. And he said all the kids were involved, which he has never gotten before. So throughout this whole case study, this is about 3 weeks long, and we did journals for weeks. This happened back in December. So at this point, I actually asked him this past week how it's been going with his class. He brought up all the students' journals. They went on for pages. He brought up different presentations he's done with the kids all year, and he can't be more happy about it. So what we've done is he's been talking to other teachers in the school. And unfortunately, because this was my first year, I didn't get to really start doing some class stuff until about December when I started with Nick. So he's been talking to other teachers, and now he's going to work with me for next year to start working with other classes to get involved with Google, which is one of the most exciting things that I can take in, because it means I've made an impact on the school and the teachers. So to me, it's very exciting. That's one reason I wanted to showcase this case study. Oh, wow, this is going real quick. So another thing I want to showcase, because I didn't expect how much work I'd get done, is my practicum experience. When we first started the class, I saw 50 hours and I was thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to do this? Even though I'm the instructional technology specialist. But it turned out that throughout the year, I did a lot more with classes than I expected, and it made me extremely happy. Now, luckily, I worked in 2 separate schools, and I do 1 week at one school and 1 week at the other. And with that, I've been able to do a lot of different things with different classes. So one of the first things I'd done throughout the year was work on computer skills. Like I said, we had students trying to touch the screen because they thought everything was touch screen. So the first thing I worked on with these kids was basic mouse, computer, and keyboard skills. And this is something we've been working on throughout the year. And I had kids who couldn't type more than 10 words in a minute starting the year, and now they're typing 30 to 40 words a minute. And that alone baffles me, because I struggle to get 40 words a minute, but these kids are just picking up on it. So I've done that with 3 fifth grade classes and a 4th grade class, and then I've also done it with a 1st grade class. So what baffled me was the I guess lack of a difference in student skills on computers in this district, because my 1st graders were doing just as well as my 5th graders. So throughout, I ended up with 99 plus hours. And these hours keep going on, and I keep doing everything with them weekly. And this is just one thing I wanted to showcase, because I felt like I didn't expect this to happen. I didn't expect to have this many hours working with teachers and working with students. And I thought it was something that I should definitely showcase. So I worked on Google also. Google Classroom was a big hit in both schools. Teachers love Google Classroom and incorporating it. Again, that's another thing I'm working with teachers in both schools to incorporate next year starting in September. And a lot of teachers are starting to pick up on it. I know, do we have, it's 10 minutes, right? Am I starting to run low? Am I running out?
Perfect. 10 minutes. And now we can have questions. I love the way that you really reminded us how 99 hours is not that difficult to fill in, right? If you have the right cohort, if you have working on it. But there's sometimes 50 hours is difficult to complete if you don't have the classroom setting. So I'm glad that you had that environment, and I can't wait to learn more of your artifacts in Google Apps. It's amazing how much the education changed with Google Apps. It's really made the teachers more organized, more linked, more connected. So thanks to Google, but it's also, again, taking me back into what I was telling earlier tonight. You don't want to rely on one computer, one software, one tool. You need to also educate yourself in multiple platforms, right? Because Google may decide to go very expensive or may not be available, whatever the reasons, right? So you need to have that multiple options to be able to shift around. And with this new digital cyber hacking, can you imagine? We are all now in cyberspace, having everything on the cloud, and then you wake up one day and there is nothing on the cloud. It's all rained down. Yeah. So again, we as the future coaches, we need to warn our colleagues to make sure they're not just relying on one system. Because if the Google app, for instance, that day he or she created a beautiful lesson plan, but without having access to internet or Google Apps, that lesson plan is going to fail? No, you're going to always have an alternative ways and projects at hand. So thank you very, very much. Rosabelle?
Yeah, one of our,
You're welcome to give comments as well. I don't want to take over the whole thing.
Okay. Well, one, actually showing me how the portfolio looks on Taskstream, I was like, wow, it looks so much better than how I ideally thought it was going to look. I also like how you added the picture in on your actual standard.
where is it?
You had the actual portfolio up on Taskstream.
Yeah, I'm pulling up right now. Yep.
Yeah, I like that right there. Like, I like how you did that. It's like attention grabbing. So now it's like, okay, now I want to scroll through and read what you wrote, you know, because I'm a visual person. I personally like that. The next thing is, I wanted to actually agree. Like, I kept nodding every time you were talking because I'm like, oh my God, yeah. You know, when it comes to like teaching kids, especially with touch screens, mind blowing. And what really resonated with me is the fact that you stressed how I have these fifth graders and I have to get them ready for middle school, right? And it's so, like, for me, something like that is like, yes, you know, like, we need that. I'm currently in the school that, believe it or not, they only have one instructional coach, and he only does kindergarten to fifth grade. But however, the school goes up to eighth grade. So what happens with the 6th, 7th, 8th graders? I have no idea. They figure because they have access to Mac Air books and Chromebooks that they know how to use it. Yeah, right. I sent them on a simple thing, thinking, all right, you guys know how to do all of this. They didn't know how to share a document. They didn't know how to share with each other because it's within a school. You can't really send emails to each other, so you get like that error pop up. All of them freaking out, like it doesn't work. I'm like, okay, wait, pause, time out, read through it, and went through. You know, but I'm just thinking to myself, it's like, you can't expect because they know how to work a phone. It's the same way. It goes back to what the professor's saying. You need to know more than just one platform. And all I'm thinking is like, wow, like you literally hit the nail on the head when you said that, how they need to be prepared. But some schools just think, okay, they got enough from fifth grade, and it's really not enough, you know, because they don't know how to do simple things.
Yeah, and it's very difficult in this district because my position's actually new. So I'm one of 3 people. We have 11 elementary schools. I'm the only one in an elementary school. So I actually had a couple middle school teachers come into one of my classes and saying, we've had kids coming up and none of them are prepared. So they're starting where I am. So they're happy and now they just want more of us. But the school can't afford it. And that's just one of those issues that's obviously ongoing.
No, I know it's true. The same thing here. They're opening up additional classrooms because now they have a larger population for ICT. However, your students need other things to help them because even though it's ICT, you still have your special ed teacher still doesn't follow the class for every single subject. Like, for example, I'm doing foreign language. I'm there all by myself all the time with 33, 34 students. You know, and it's like when you need the special ed teacher because I'm literally breaking things down by steps with constant modeling, with constant reinforcement, redirection. And in my head, I'm like, holy smokes, you guys are 7th, 8th graders and I have to teach you like 3rd graders. You know, and this is when you need that so that I can literally be the special ed teacher and you can facilitate everyone who got it instead of me having to reteach every single teacher. You know, one lesson turns into a week long with these classes, you know? And it's like all of them. Not even it's general ed too at this point. So but I did like all your stuff and I am very impressed with your 99 hours. I'm just like, wow, I was going crazy with just getting my 50 hours. I'm just thinking, but you know, it's true. I didn't even realize like how fast time goes. I had one person who it took me just an hour to kind of like show her how to set up a website. I'm like, oh my goodness, girl, type but the box says this. Do it. You know, there's terms you have to agree to. It's educational. We're not going to give out any
Yeah.
information. It was just crazy. And it's like, how did you change the font? I'm like, okay, we're going to show you now step by step. So it's true. You do accumulate
Yeah.
the hours really fast. Because, I mean, I still can't believe it took me 1
Yeah.
hour for her to write one sentence. And she was still like,
Yeah.
how do you change everything to Spanish?
Yeah.
I'm like, you're just typing in Spanish. You're not changing the options because it's you that are going to navigate it, not the parents or the students.
Yeah.
They're going to see what's on there. And she was just like, wow, like that aha moment finally clicked, you know? And I'm just like, oh my goodness, girl, this is going to take longer than expected.
Yeah.
Your day.
Yeah, and I was worried before at the beginning of the semester. I even sent an email asking if I could use hours from the earlier semester this year because I was worried I wasn't going to reach them all, but they just kept piling on.
That's great. You're like an inspiration.
You are also a good hunter, right? Are you coming to help us with the geocaching event?
I'm hoping to get down. I'm definitely coming down for graduation, so I'm trying to figure out my my gas mileage right now.
Yeah, but
yeah, no, I'm hoping to get down.
and also for geocaching event, I'm just saying in the Air Mountain, if you can come.
Yep.
Maybe you should bring your knife just in case we'll have a bear. No.
I actually saw a few bears this year. That was the first time, so it was very surprising.
Oh, they're actually very, very cute when you're in the distance. But then they come.
Yeah.
Long one. And when I was walking in a nice hiking trail, and they told me the day after, they said, "Oh, the hiking trail that you walked, they actually one person was, I don't know how much eaten up, but there were 3 people, and one of them, two of them escaped, and one of them couldn't." So I'm like, "Oh my God, do I want
Oh
to
man.
face again?" I mean, I really was thinking, I guess, going by myself, but even if you go with 3 people, you may get injured, or in this case, die. So, oh, what am I talking? I should stop recording. I don't want to record my bear story here.